coaching staff? Do you have preferences or names or a list? Offensive, defensive coordinator, other positional assistants.
Okay. We'll start out with offensive coordinator, man. I've gotten real understanding when it comes to it's probably going to be Briles or Dorsey, guys. It's just that simple. And it's not just about their name being flared around. It's just about what I think both of those guys bring to the table, fit what Coach Cristobal wants this team to look and play like. Ken Dorsey would be, of course, the attachment to University of Miami and what he's done as a quarterbacks coach and things of that nature. But it could be eerily similar to what Miami thought we were going to get, which was the Alabama offense, when we brought Dan Enos down from Alabama, and all he was the QB's coach. And it didn't work out. That's all I'm saying. I'm not calling him that. I'm just saying it's a very similar kind of conversation to be had about that. I look at Briles. I'll take Kendal Briles at that. All the off the field stuff, it's been put behind him. He's passed plenty of PR situations. Okay, it's just that simple. Defensively, okay, this Schumann conversation, the co-DC at Georgia, it seems to be that'll be the route. I've been a Muschamp guy for the longest as far as what he brings to the table. And a part of me, Mark, wants the 3-4 to come to Miami so that people can see what a 3-4-1 gap scheme can be, what an aggressive front out of the 30 can look like, so that they can truly understand what that defense can do. But you try to people are gonna believe what they want to believe, Mark. It's just nothing you can really do. Because I've tried to explain to them the national championship teams that you watch, the game you're about to watch on Monday night, is 2, 3, 4 attack teams. And everyone's multiple. So yeah, it may say 3-4, but you're rarely gonna have that 6'3", 350-pound nose who just holds down the guy. I mean, look at Jordan Davis. Look at how disruptive and how much play he had early on. Where was he when they played Alabama? Where was this dominant defensive line when they played a spread team that aired it out and attacked their linebackers in secondary and coverage? Okay, so Coach Cristobal has said multiple times, we want to be multiple. I need us to be able to run the ball when you need to run the ball, pass the ball when you need to pass the ball, stop the run, and rush the passer and cover. So it's not just be spread just to be spread. It's not just be dive run just to be dive and run. It's just being able and having the ability to not just call the run because we call it a dive. No, if we need 3 yards and it's 3rd and 3, we need to be able to get in whatever formation and move people off of the ball and get the first down. If it's 3rd and 10 or 4th and 14 against Tallahassee, 4th and 17 against North Carolina, we need to be able to cover long enough at the back end and rush the passer fast enough on the front end to where we are successful and we play championship football on that down. The only way to get those things is when you are coached well enough, you have the talent to, and we're multiple enough to do what is necessary when it is necessary. Um, so it's that simple. Nathan Rudd, who said Briles is not leaving Arkansas. Man, listen, plenty of people came in here and said Coach Cristobal wasn't leaving Oregon. Like a dude in my chat told me last week that McClendon wasn't leaving Oregon to come to Miami, and he's here. So listen, Miami has the money, Miami has the desire, and if that is the person that Coach Cristobal and the people that he trusts want to come in to coach this offense, he'll be there. You talk about having $8 to $9 million to build the staff. That better be one of the best staffs in college football. And that's why I understand people who are wondering what the hell's going on here. Because money was always the issue with Miami. Well, they don't pay enough. They don't pay enough. They don't pay enough. Well, you come out and tell us that we have all these millions of dollars. We want to see stuff happen. But I'm also one of those people that understands who's been in these interviews, who you want to pick the right people. Irregardless of what the fans think, irregardless of what family members think, we need to pick the right men to come in and help build this program and to turn it into something. We can't just be out here with the emotional stuff, man. Um, Defensive line wise, you got Joseph Salavea, the defensive line coach from Oregon. He is the leading candidate there. Uh, a couple outlets confirmed it, but Miami has yet to confirm it, so I'm kind of leaving that alone, not touching it. But there was a very reliable source who came out early on today who said that he signed the paperwork and they're waiting on Miami to announce it today to be the defensive line coach at Miami. So I'm excited about that. I think he is one of the better defensive line coaches in the country, top five. Okay. What he brings to the table is knowledge as a player and knowledge as a coach at some lower level schools, San Jose State, um, Cal Poly in Arizona, and some high level schools, USC and Oregon. Okay, he's done it at some pretty good stints. He's had some defensive linemen who he's recruited personally. The guy who's going to go first overall, Kayvon Thibodeau, well, he was the secondary recruiter. The primary recruiter was Coach Cristobal. They landed him. Young man we're looking at right now, Cyrus Moss, the primary recruiter for Oregon, for him was who was Coach Sullivan. He was his primary recruiter. So he is also a very tenacious and aggressive recruiter. I've watched plenty of his cut-ups on YouTube, and I was very, very impressed with a lot of, because y'all know defensive line is personal for me, of what he's teaching the young men. Just something as simple, Mark. He's at Arizona, and he has defensive line that are kind of undersized. So instead of him teaching them to take on double teams hard and sink and anchor and just kick his butt, man, try hard. No, let's use our sprint. Let's use our speed. Okay, you feel a double team, you want to swim the first guy and anchor down. All right, we don't want to directly go against people. You want to attack the edges. You want to hit pads because we're not massive yet. We're 280, we're 275, we're 250 off of the edges. So we have to use what we have, and that's our quickness, our acceleration, and our technique. Now, to some people, Mark, that may sound super basic. That's obvious. No, but you got a lot of coaches who don't care. Okay, they don't coach the players, they coach the scheme, they coach the system. All right, this is what I do, and I've been successful everywhere. Get in line, fall in line, do what I say. And that way of coaching in some instances may be successful for some people. But he showed me in that instance that he can go from being a defensive line coach at USC, the staff gets fired, he goes to the University of Arizona for 3 years and completely reshapes their defensive line. And I was thoroughly impressed with what he brought to the table there. Okay. I see some Joe Brady conversation in there, so I'll address that. I've been very open about this, man. It was a group project at LSU. It was a perfect scenario. He's milked that as hard as he could. And when he was interviewed with the University of Miami, supposedly things didn't go over too well. Came off a little brash, a little cocky, a little title. Coach Cristobal didn't like it. It's just that simple. And I get that. I get that. I mean, you talk about somebody that just got fired, canned for the North Carolina Panthers from an offensive-minded coach in Matt Rule. So if he thinks what you're not doing is good enough halfway through year two, you didn't even make it past the bye week, dude. And he's been very open and public about not wanting to recruit. Okay, well, if that's not what you want to do at the college level, all right, man. Hey, good luck. God bless. Have a good rest of your day. And it's just one of those things. Coach Dorsey and Coach Briles both interviewed great, and they've had multiple interviews. So I think that's where that comes down to the last two. We went over offensive line's already been done, wide receivers done. We don't know, Mark, still a little iffy on running backs and tight ends. We don't even know who the leading candidates are. A lot of speculation about guys like James Coley, who wants to get back to being an on-field position coach because he said in recruiting over at Texas A&M. Bobby Williams, special teams coordinator, running backs coach, tight ends coach. from Oregon, who also was the special teams coordinator for Alabama for 10 years, under the first 10 years of Coach Saban and his time there. So a lot of speculation, man. A lot of speculation at those positions. And I don't think any of us have answers until the answers are there. And defensive back wise, we're keeping Coach T-Rob, Tavares Robinson. So that's a blessing. Now the conversation is, if we go in a certain route, defensive coordinator wise, is the defense coordinator going to be a DC coach? So you have to go find a linebackers coach, or is he going to be a linebackers coach? And now T-Rob picks whether he's safety and corners, or if we go get another corners coach, or is he just going to be cross training all defensive backs? So there's still a whole bunch of question marks on that. I believe by the next time we speak, next Tuesday, I'll be able to talk to you about commits from this past Saturday. And the national championship is on Monday also. And one of the coaches we're going after is coaching in the national championship, because the other co-defensive coordinator took the Oregon job and he's already at Oregon. So, I think we'll have a lot of those answers come, next week, Tuesday, when we're on here live talking. So there's my soliloquy off the dome, no notes, you know how I do. So that's where we are.
One quick note on Joe Brady, I'll just say this, is that it's funny how things happen so quickly in sports. Just think back 2 years ago at this time, LSU was preparing to win a national championship against Clemson. That was where we were 2 years ago. And aside from the star players in college football and all the star coaches that get most of the pub and the attention, you hardly ever hear about a quarterback's coach or at a particular place. And he was getting tons of love. And I get it. They threw 60 touchdown passes. They scored 1 million points. They were just about to go 15-0. Everything was just, but here we are 2 years later, and he was obviously determined not to be doing a good job, or at least a good fit with the Carolina Panthers. We see Joe Burrow, who's just completely tearing it up with Terrace Marshall, who's basically setting records. Justin Jefferson's a ridiculous beast at Minnesota.
That's the other thing.
I think we might be able to
he
call
played
plays.
a part in it, but these guys are doing just as good, if not better, without him at the highest level. So again, I would hate for someone to try to discredit me if for some reason I'm a coach. Let's say I'm coaching at the University of Minnesota. We just had 2 first-round defensive linemen go. I would hate for somebody to try to discredit me, and I understand that, and that's why I try to be careful in the way that I articulate myself, because he had to do something to get to that level, and he's good. I'm not attacking him as a person. I'm just saying, as far as all these promotions and all the love he's gotten and received from that, when it was a group project with other people, and now he's off on his own and it's not going as well. That's just a fact.
His name was, as you well know from 2 years ago, sitting here 2 years ago, this is all we were hearing constantly every day. Joe Brady, Joe Brady, Joe Brady. He's an amazing, and I'm sure much of it's true, but it took a team. It took an offense.
Mark, he was even in name. He was in name for being a head coach. Like, his name was being thrown around for the Miami gig in 2019 before we hired Manny. And I'm like, what the? Dude, are y'all serious right now? And I get it, bless him, he did his thing, but it was no need, in my opinion, to be so boastful about that. And hey, I think he'll do well in the NFL. I think he'll fall on his feet somewhere. I understand the Panthers weren't the best gig. They aren't the most talented team. The quarterbacks that he did have in his room aren't the best like they used to be, but dude, show us something, man. And it looked real, real, real bad. It looked real bad.